rows of cars parked on grassy fields.
Staff tell us this is an overflow lot for rental cars that are not being used, but
Just ahead, the City of Rochester launches a new website to help sell its sales tax renewal plan. Plus, an attempted murder case is now going to the jury. We are monitoring some breaking details in the Philip Turner trial in Rochester. And we are all feeling the heat, which brings special challenges for student athletes. We're going to take you out on the practice field with the Byron Bears. Your News at Noon starts now.
Live from your local news leader, this is KTTC News.
Good afternoon, I'm Jess Abrahamson. First today at noon, closing arguments wrapped up just moments ago in the Philip Turner attempted murder trial. He is accused of shooting a 37-year-old Rochester woman on Christmas Eve. Megan Zimple has been in court today and joins us live with an update on this case. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Jess. The fate of Philip Turner is now in the jury's hands. Closing arguments just wrapped up around 20 minutes ago. Philip Turner is charged with second-degree attempted murder of a 37-year-old Rochester woman on Christmas Eve. He's also charged with two charges of assault, as well as being in possession of a firearm. The state said in their closing arguments today that he shot her in the head, and that he lied on the stand yesterday. The state said today that it's obvious that he shot her. She suffered a gunshot wound to the left back side of her head. And the victim in this case actually could not testify because she still is dealing with those injuries from this incident. She's not able to speak, and she is left with damage with her motor skills as well. And then also, the state says it's obvious, and then the defense says this was a horrible accident, that he had the gun in his waistband, and that there was a struggle. She took the gun out of her waistband, and that she accidentally shot herself in the head. But once again, the state said that that is just not possible. And they also pointed out the fact that he didn't get any help for her after this incident happened. He didn't call 911. He went home and he celebrated Christmas with his family, while the state says he left her for dead, and she laid in her apartment for about 10 to 12 hours with her two young children there until police discovered her near death. So right now, the jury has it. We don't know how long this deliberation will take. There was a lot of support on both sides today in the courtroom. So we'll bring you the latest as we get it. Back to you, Jess.
All right, we are now on Jury Watch. Thank you so much for the update, Megan, and we'll hear more from you tonight. Another big story today is the heat. This is a first alert day as we are now under an excessive heat warning. Let's get more on this with meteorologist Ted Schmidt out on a very bright weather patio.
It is, Jess. Very bright out here, very warm. There's just enough of a breeze to stir the air, but I wish there was maybe a little more here in the weather patio. We could use a little bit of that. It is very steamy right now, as you can well imagine. Temperatures cruising toward the 90s at this hour. We're going to be well into the 90s in just a couple of hours, certainly by mid-afternoon. We had some stratus clouds and a little bit of hazy fog early this morning. It is really clearing off. That's completely cloud-free right now. That's the current scene from our Lewiston Auto camera. Here at the studio, it's 87. It feels like 93. The dew point 75. Winds to the southwest at 6 miles per hour. At the airport in Rochester, it's 85. Just moments ago, the dew point ticked up to 77. That is the highest dew point temperature we've had so far this year. And it may go a little higher before we see things improve maybe in the next 24 hours. But 85 right now in Rochester. It's 88 in Mason City and Red Wing, 88 degrees already. And here's how it feels. 100, the current feels like temperature in Austin, Albert Lee 102, Mason City 100, Rochester officially 95. And we're looking at what we're facing for the rest of the day. That is 100 plus, but that heat index all the way through sunset. And even overnight tonight, those heat indices are going to be in the 80s and 90s. It is going to be a very uncomfortably, very warm night. And I feel for you if you don't have air conditioning, but it is going to be miserable. Excessive heat warning remains in effect for today and tonight, all of tomorrow as well. There's an excessive heat watch on Thursday as things will be cooling off, but we'll see. It may end up being an advisory as temperatures won't be quite this hot. And the trees and mold high, but dust very high for our allergy outlook, and the UV index 8 on the scale of 1 to 10 today. So 15 to 25 minutes to a sunburn if you're out too much, and you get way warm too. Weather almanac. 78 is the average high this time of the year. The record is 96. We're not going to quite get there. Sunset 8:03. Look for a few more degrees, though, as we climb up the ladder. Tack up maybe 7 or 8 degrees. We'll go to 93. Some spots will hit the upper 90s, and the heat index, triple digits. Today is a first alert day because of the dangerously hot weather. If you're not careful, if you're not hydrated, it certainly could be a very difficult and, if not dangerous, situation, Jess. So we'll talk more about more heat in just a few minutes in our full weather.
Yeah, quite a trend we're in here. Thank you, Ted. With that rise in temperatures comes increased energy usage. The upcoming warm fronts mean residents here are taking some extra measures to try to keep cool. However, Rochester Public Utilities says there are some more cost-effective ways to do that.
Ceiling fans are a big thing. Whether you're using air conditioning or not, turn your ceiling fans on. Let those move the air around in your home as well. That's going to make it more comfortable. Using screens or shades on your windows when that hot sun is on your windows, close those screens and let those the hot rays stay outside.
And you can learn more about ways to conserve your energy by clicking on the story about this on our website, kttc.com. Another important reminder, in extreme heat, health experts with Mayo Clinic Health Systems say while exercise is important, doing it in extreme heat can be dangerous. Working out in the morning, staying hydrated, and wearing appropriate clothing are just some of the ways to prepare for this heat. They also recommend lowering your expectations for your workout, as well as keeping an eye on certain bodily functions.
Trying to decrease the workout intensity and the practice times, trying to have those earlier in the morning. Getting rest. And one thing that we often don't think about is the color of our urine. Make sure that the urine isn't really dark. We want to be looking at more pale colored urine. That tells us a good sign of our hydration status.
If you're looking to cool off in the water the next few days, Mayo recommends wearing sunscreen, sunglasses, and hats to protect your skin. Local sports teams are feeling the heat as well. The Byron Bears are back on the field gearing up for their fall season. Practices started last week, but with excessive heat, there are some additional concerns. The football team moved their practices earlier in the morning to avoid the worst of the heat. They start at 5:30 and practice until 7 a.m.
You know, the heat's, a tough deal, right? So for us, it's been early mornings because the mornings have been nice. It's beautiful out right now. There's a little breeze. It feels cool. So we've just adapted to that. We can't control that, obviously. I wish the weather guy would, turn the dial down a little bit, but that's not his deal. So we are adjusting with some morning practices so we can make sure we can get some stuff in. It's not ideal. We don't love getting the kids up that early and going, but getting some things accomplished. We're still early in the season. We need to get some things done.
So the team will adjust the practice schedule until the heat and humidity improve. Meanwhile, Byron High School students get back for a new school year on Monday. The Rochester Police Department is asking for help finding a vandalism suspect. The department released a surveillance image of a man who kicked in the window of a grocery store. This happened at Gargar Grocery on 6th Avenue Northwest just after 3 a.m. on Monday. The man kicked the window and then walked away. If this person looks familiar, you're asked to call Rochester Police. For the next few weeks, students are heading back to the classroom. Today is the first day of a new year for high school students in Albert Lea, and there are several new things happening there this school year. There are just over 3,000 students in the district with 3 new elementary school teachers. Also new this year, new guidelines for cell phone use in schools. There will now be designated time and areas of the school where students can and can't use their devices. Some places where they can't use a phone, also called red zones, would include the bathroom, locker room, and hallways during class. Green zones, or places where students can use their phones, would be before and after school, passing time, and the commons. Teachers can also establish their own rules when it comes to cell phone use in their classrooms.
We need to embrace technology. It is with us. COVID really opened our eyes, both as parents, caregivers, as well as educators, to the use of technology and how we can use it as a tool. If we then suppress technology, we're suppressing innovation.
If students break the cell phone rules, there's 3 strikes. First, staff members will confiscate the device and give it back when class is over. Second, students will have to hand in their phone to the office to get back at the end of the class day. The third strike, a student's parent or guardian is going to have to meet with school leaders to come up with a plan to move forward. And as school bells across the country begin to ring, doctors and parents are worried about a shortage of ADHD medication. The FDA shared information about more shortages last month. As students return to class, some parents and educators say drug scarcity could have an impact on learning. Some parents say they've had to skip doses or ration pills for their kids because pharmacies are simply out of the medicine. The agency recently urged drug makers to increase production. The companies say they're working to resolve the problem, but it's likely to linger for the foreseeable future. Business and city leaders in Rochester are coming together to learn about and discuss the issues that impact their businesses and the community. Today, the Rochester Area Chamber of Commerce hosted an event called Eggs and Issues at 2 Discovery Square. It was actually the first event ever held in this space. Chamber members enjoyed breakfast, they networked, and then they heard from Congressman Brad Finstad. He shared his insight into his role at the Capitol and the U.S. Chamber, specifically giving an update on the reauthorized Farm Bill, which does include federal SNAP program dollars. He says there are some major updates that need to be made there.
The SNAP program will not cover a rotisserie chicken. How many families that you know that are busy working on the move stop and grab that rotisserie chicken to feed their family? So we don't cover that. We will, through the SNAP program, cover a whole apple, but heaven forbid if that apple is sliced up and in a bag, we will not cover that.
People also heard from Midwest region of the U.S. Chamber Vice President John Kirshner, who gave an update on the region's local economy. The Dodge County Board of Commissioners is holding a meeting today. The topic is cannabis, and as we've reported, adult use cannabis was legalized at the beginning of this month, although processes, licenses, and regulations surrounding this are still all being worked out. The Dodge County Public Health Director is going to be there to share insight on the topic. So the meeting begins at 5 this evening at the Government Services Building in Manorville. The City of Rochester has launched a new website. This is to help support and explain the proposed sales tax renewal. Today, the city launching this website, renewalrochester.org, the goal to inform residents about the proposal. The extension would generate $205 million for public investments in housing, workforce development, street repairs, flood control, and a regional sports complex. The website gives information about the long-term challenges the city faces and how the investment plan would address those. Rochester voters will consider renewing this in the November 7th election. The referendum, if approved, would allow the sales tax to extend for a 24-year period or until funding obligations have been met. Every now and then, you encounter an employee who brightens your day in an extra special way. And in Rochester this morning, a grocery store employee is being honored as one of the very best in the entire Hy-Vee Corporation. That story is next.
The insurance company was calling me. I didn't know.
Today, a Rochester Hy-Vee employee was honored for going above and beyond in his job. Hy-Vee's market manager, John Wendell, won the store's legendary Customer Service Award this morning. This was a surprise, but his wife and son were there, along with his parents who traveled to be here for this. This award is the highest honor given to a Hy-Vee employee to recognize exemplary service. Wendell is one of 14 employees company-wide to get this year. There are only 165 awarded employees so far since the creation of this in 2006.
It's a little overwhelming, honestly. I see people that traveled from far as Newton and just everybody I've worked with over the years. It's pretty special that they all showed up for this great moment. So very, very humbling.
And he was given a golden name badge, a ring, and a trip of his choice, as well as a luncheon with other recipients. Congratulations. A festival that has been celebrating the gladiolus flower for decades has blossomed into another week of fun for the St. Charles community. Here's what you can look forward to this week. On Wednesday, there's a lineup of great music, market vendors, and food trucks. Then Thursday will be comedy night, and Friday's fun includes tractor rides and a street parade. This weekend will be packed with fun for the family with the big parade and, of course, the Kiss the Pig contest. That's on Sunday.
Don't forget about the small towns. They all get together, and we get people from all over different towns come. It's quite interesting, and it's all about making it fun. Yep.
Gladiolus Days is an annual festival to honor the late Carl Fisher, who's received 80 awards for all of his American varieties of flowers and is the world's leading creator of new and distinctive gladiolus. And they're going to have weather that's all over the place. Ted, a little hot to start, but the weekend looks great.
Yeah, things will improve in time. Yeah, we do have for First Alert Day now and all the way through Thursday because of the heat. But beyond that, yes, there are some better days ahead. The latest in your 7-day forecast is coming up after our market report.
Missed part of our newscast?
Here's your First Alert weather with meteorologist Ted Schmidt.
Our hot trend continues.
Yeah, yesterday was just a primer. We were getting rather warm. At this hour yesterday, we were still in the 80s, Jess, and we topped out in the mid-80s. North Iowa did have an excessive heat warning yesterday. Today, that has expanded to encompass the entire viewing area. And as of the top of the last hour, as of 11 o'clock here in Rochester and the rest of the area, we are now all in an excessive heat warning. That goes through the rest of today, through tonight, and even all of tomorrow as the heat is building in. Here's the current view of maybe a place to go to cool off, jump in the lake, because this is the current view from our Lewis Donato camera of Lake Pepin. See choppy waves out there. Winds have picked up a bit. They're ushering the warmth and the humidity, but also stirring the air, trying to make it feel a little more palatable, but having some very minor success. Out the weather patio, not enough air circulation. It is very heavy out there right now. I see some of the haze outside. The dew point well into the 70s. In fact, in the last hour, we've reached the highest dew point temperature in Rochester of the year so far, 77 degrees. Right now, it's 85 degrees. That's the air temperature here in Rochester. To the west, even hotter, 88 in Dodge Center. 88 in Mason City, and Albert Lee 88. It does feel like it's a lot warmer than that. 95, the current feels like temperature in Rochester. There's that number, 77 south winds, 14 miles per hour. Heat index map right now, Rochester 95, but everything west of here seemingly triple digits. Owatonna 102, 102 also in Northwood, and 104 in Charles City, Iowa. And we're going to have that heat index around 105, 106 here in Rochester by day's end. Austin, Mason City, Charles City, all even higher than that, perhaps in the teens. 100 teens, that is, for the afternoon. Excessive heat warning. Everybody in that magenta purple color is in it. That is all of us. And that goes through today until late tomorrow evening. And then beyond that, we transition to a watch. There is a cold front that will come through the area very early Thursday. It will eventually draw in some slightly cooler air, so part of the area won't be quite as hot. So I'm thinking southern Minnesota may transition maybe to a heat advisory. North Iowa will stay in an excessive heat warning through the day on Thursday before the system moves through. Right now, the warm front moving through. There's a cold front behind it that will come through Thursday. Until it does, the heat will continue to build, and we'll have to live with it. There's that angry red color on the map. Look at those 90s in Marshall and Sioux City, 95 in Valentine, Nebraska, 98 in Grand Island. We're in the 80s here, which is still pretty warm. When you throw in the humidity, it feels even worse, though. Dew point 77, very moving toward the top end of the humidity scale with those dew points pretty high up there. Look for heat index levels today, 106 or so, and then dropping back to the 80s. That is as cool as it's going to feel tonight. Temperatures will barely fall into the 70s. 80s with that feels like temperature tonight, so it's going to be a stuffy night. Right back to the 100-plus numbers tomorrow. Dangerous heat today and tomorrow. Not as hot by the time we get to Friday. It, in fact, will be feeling fantastic like this in the 80s, but with less humidity. And then by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday, only 70s, a taste of maybe Canadian fall weather, or September weather anyway for us here. Gusty winds today, a lot of sunshine, temperatures in the 90s to near 100. We'll be in that same range again tomorrow, just a few passing cirrus clouds in the meantime. And future track looking at a breezy day, though, to go with that. Cold front moves through very early Thursday, and so for afternoon highs on Thursday, enough residual heat to hold on to around 90 for high. Heat index levels more than likely not even up to triple digits for many of us. And then by the time we get to Friday and Saturday, a little more comfortable, 80s and then 70s for highs. But today and tomorrow, by far the two hottest days of the year. A lot of sunshine today, 100 to 112 the way it'll feel. 93 the high temperature in Rochester, southwest winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. 77 tonight. The record for the warmest low tonight is 76. I think we'll be warmer than that. Very stuffy. That dew point well into the 70s too with a hint of a breeze. Tomorrow 96, a little hotter but maybe slightly less humid. So the heat index will be similar, if not maybe slightly lower. Southwest winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Still not a record high, though. Look at first alert days tomorrow and Thursday, and then comfortable weather, or much more comfortable weather. Still summer-like, but not the scorching heat for a while. 70s and 80s take over for the foreseeable future after Thursday.
The weekend is always welcome, but this one is going to feel so good.
It's going to feel great.
Thank you, Ted. We've got an update on the plan to better connect some of Rochester's top downtown destinations with a new bridge. And the city has some new landscapers hard at work. This crew works for grazing rights. We'll be right back.
KTTC.
You may have noticed a few new additions to Rochester's North Police Station. The city is working to remove invasive weeds from public properties and allow native plants and prairie plantings to grow. The goats eat the invasive, obnoxious weeds and allow the native plants to flourish. According to Facility Supervisor Zach Wood, this method is more environmentally friendly as it doesn't require chemicals or controlled burns.
Every year to every other year, we need to do prescribed burns to take care of those invasive weeds. And the goats actually eat those plants before they're able to drop seeds. So it's going to allow us to not do those burns, which is kind of a big hassle when you're near a building. We have to get the fire department involved. We have to, keep staff away. It allows us to, be a little more environmentally friendly with those aspects of it.
The goats are actually taking a break today due to the heat, but they are expected to come back once it cools down. Plans for a bridge connecting Rochester's 6th Street across the Zumbro River are now in motion. The Rochester City Council has authorized a contract with Bolton and Menck to design and engineer the 6th Street Bridge project. The bridge would improve options and response times for first responders, provide safer connection to the Zumbro River in downtown, as well as improve service options for Rochester Public Transit. Some council members have heard pushback from residents in the area about this, saying they don't want that extra traffic.
6th Street Bridge, it's 6th Street neighborhood safety improvements and riverfront connectivity. So let's not lose sight of the fact that this is more than just a bridge. This is taking a project where right now there's one controlled intersection and creating 7 or 8 controlled intersections in a neighborhood by a school, in an area that is set for redevelopment.
The topic is,
and right now there's no set date on when construction for this would begin. Here's Howard with a look at what he is up to in the kitchen.
Today's recipe might not inspire you to speak French, but it will have you saying, ooh la la. Stick around, you'll see what I mean.
this hot-rodded.
Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Je m'appelle Henri. Today, we're making crepes with a south-of-the-border twist. Since these aren't truly French, I guess I can take off the beret. Confused? It'll all make sense once I show you. The challenge of making traditional French crepe lies in the batter. It can be tricky to get the consistency just so. However, with the crepes we're making today, we don't have to worry about that. You see, rather than making the batter from scratch, we dip flour tortillas in a mixture of eggs, milk, sugar, cinnamon, and vanilla. Once they're moist, onto the griddle or skillet they go. We brown them on both sides, which just takes minutes. And unlike authentic crepes, every one of these will turn out picture perfect. After all the tortillas have been dipped and browned, we fill them with berries before rolling them up. Top them with a dollop of whipped cream and a bit of powdered sugar, and done. There you have it, a fancy-looking French crepe with a tasty shortcut twist. To get the recipe for what we call our shortcut fruit crepes, all you have to do is visit our website. You know, since they do look authentic, I think I'll wear the beret after all. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a raccourci, which in French means shortcut way, for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Maybe enjoy those in the air conditioning today, Ted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if thinking your French cuisine, I think it's French weather. Il fait très chaud aujourd'hui. In other words, the weather is very hot today. And that is that, absolutely. We're talking about some hot sunshine out here at the weather patio. There is a little bit of a breeze, not as much as I would prefer because it's still very steamy out here. There's a current scene from our Lewiston Auto camera. Very few clouds are on. In fact, I don't see any overhead or even from this camera angle. 89 right now, the temperature here at the studio. 96, the feels like temperature. That's the current heat index, the dew point. 77, the highest we've had so far this season at the airport. 85 in Rochester, Winona 86, it's 90 in Austin and 88 in Mason City. And check out these heat index levels. Rochester officially 95, Preston 99, on the precipice of reaching triple digits. To the west, it is all triple digits. Albert Lee 102, 105 in Owatonna, and Mason City 100. These are the highest numbers we've seen all season. Hourly outlook for today, all triple digits all the time until sunset. Even beyond that, it's going to be warm and humid even after dark, with heat index levels in the 90s until after midnight. We have a first alert day because of the intense heat, dangerously hot. If you're not ready, and if you don't have air conditioning, it is a dangerously hot day. We're talking about excessive heat warning for the entire area for today and all of tomorrow. Included in that is tonight, as we look for heat index levels in the triple digits for much of the time. Weather Almanac, the record 96. We're not going to quite get there, but we'll come close. 8:03 is sunset today. Look for a high of 93 with the heat index today in the triple digits as high as 112 in some spots. Ted's Trivia, where is Queen Beatrix International Airport located? To think, who's Queen Beatrix? Well, if you know that, you'll have an idea. We'll have that answer coming up in just a few minutes, Jess.
All right, all of those look like fun places to go. We will find out. Thank you, Ted.
You bet.
Still to come, we're going to take you out into the fields on the Pro Farmer Crop Tour. And the U.S. is facing a critical nursing home shortage. What you need to know about how this could impact the future. We'll be right back.
For over 20 years, White's Fire, Smoke, and...
The U.S. is facing a critical nursing home shortage. A Wall Street Journal analysis of federal data shows the country has lost at least 600 of the facilities in the past 6 years. That leaves some patients stuck in hospitals for months, waiting for an open slot. The issue is that many older people prefer to get care in their own homes. That drains workers from nursing facilities, as the U.S. senior population is set to surge. It could swell from 56 million to 81 million by the end of the decade. The Biden administration is putting some pressure on nursing homes to increase hiring. It says it plans to set a minimum ratio of staff time per resident. The Pro Farmer Crop Tour is on. Its primary goal is to provide the industry with accurate growing season information at the state and regional levels. Here's our Ag Day Minute.
I'm Clinton Griffiths with today's Ag Day Minute. It's day one of the annual Pro Farmer Crop Tour. The tour traveling through 7 states in 4 days, checking yield potential for corn and soybeans. Now in the east, day one, traveling from Ohio to Indiana. Scouts report seeing more consistent crops this year. In the west, they're traveling from South Dakota to Nebraska. Scouts finding a much better crop than last year when that area was dealing with significant drought. We'll bring you live results tonight at 8 o'clock Central Time as part of Crop Tour Live. You can find the link on agweb.com. One fast food company has plans to go to 100% digital transactions. Yum Brands owns Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC. That could mean people putting in more orders through a restaurant's website or mobile app or at a restaurant kiosk. It could also mean using AI for drive-through orders, which the company is testing. And food company Cargill is trying something new or old to move product overseas. harnessing the wind. It's experimenting with these sails as a more environmentally friendly option to power large fleets of ships. In a recent trial, a chartered bulk carrier successfully completed its inaugural journey from Shanghai to Singapore. Cargill says these innovative sails could reduce the ship's fuel consumption by approximately 20%. And if the results are positive, it plans to equip more vessels with them. For more Ag News, watch Ag Day weekdays on the station or anytime at agweb.com.
Ag Day Minute brought to you by Jen Bush. Your experience.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Ted Schmidt.
Temperatures are soaring right now. We have a first alert day in effect for the entire area. We're talking about heat index levels in the triple digits. Half the area is already there, and we still have an afternoon and really even evening to go today. And we still have the heat holding on for another day beyond this. So hope you're ready for some heat because it is here and it's going to be here for another couple of days. We have some hazy sunshine, blue sky. Well, at least it looks like a beautiful day. Not feeling so beautiful outside. That's our Lewis Stodato camera. It's 85 in Rochester to the southwest. You see the heat building in. 90 right now in Albert Lea already. It's 90 in Austin, 88 degrees in Mason City. That's the actual temperature, 91 in Zumbrota, but it feels like 95 here in Rochester. The dew point, 77. Again, the dew point, a measure of the amount of humidity in the atmosphere. You see that dew point temperature reach the upper 70s. That for us is about as high as it typically goes in a calendar year. A couple of years ago, yes, we did have that heat index in the 80s here in Rochester, and our all-time highest dew point temperature is 83, which is unheard of. It's incredibly humid and off the charts, but likely we won't get there today. 95, the way it feels right now in Rochester, 102 in Austin, 103 in Northwood, and 104 in Charles City. Is going to be approaching the 100 teens this afternoon, and in that range, perhaps Austin, Mason City, Charles City, Rochester about 106 later today, so extremely hot. Excessive heat warning, the entire area is in it today, tonight, and tomorrow, all the way until tomorrow evening. Then on Thursday, we are in a heat watch. The possibility maybe an advisory being added. It won't be quite as hot for southern Minnesota, North Iowa, though still dealing with the excessive heat all the way through Thursday before this storm system moves through. Its warm front is moving through, unleashing this very warm air mass in the area. But once it moves through, a cold front will bring some changes, some improvement for Thursday and Friday. And certainly by the weekend, looks terrific by then. 85 in Rochester, 94 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's 95 in Sioux City. To the north, only 61 in Duluth at this hour. Heat index, triple digits today. 80s through tonight. That is really stuffy, steamy stuff. Tomorrow back to the triple digits we go for our Wednesday. Equally hot day in store. Dangerous heat today, tomorrow, and even for much of the area Thursday. Not as hot by Friday. 80s for highs, we can handle that. And then over the weekend, very mild with low humidity and only 70s. Future track today, the warm front has moved through. We have all that heat building into the area. A nice little breeze, though, to try to stir the air, but it's also working to usher in that heat. Temperatures tonight, a few very thin passing clouds will be in the 70s and low 80s. And then tomorrow for high temperatures, readings in the upper half of the 90s, even maybe hotter than today. A little more of a southwesterly breeze, maybe a little less humidity in the air with that going on. So heat index levels will be similar, though temperatures, again, likely a degree or two higher tomorrow. And then as a cold front moves through early on Thursday, wee hours of the day, temperatures still getting to around 90 or upper 80s and low 90s, but heat index more than likely less than triple digits for most of the area, but still a first alert day as it will be very warm and hot weather for much of the area. And then Friday and Saturday look better with heat indices not even really a problem. Temperatures themselves 80s and then 70s. And temperature outlook for the longer term after a couple of days of intense scorching heat. Look at how much of the next week or so it looks terrific up until the beginning of Labor Day weekend, a week from this weekend. So that looks pretty good, the 70s and 80s instead of 90s. Today, 93, heat index 100 or more. Everywhere you look, southwest winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tonight, 77, warm and humid, mainly clear skies. And tomorrow, a little bit of a breeze again. A lot of sunshine, 96. It's going to feel like the 100 to 110 or 15 range again. And your 7-day forecast is, we just pointed out, it looks a whole lot better. It's still dry. We could use some rain. We don't see any in our future as it stands right now, but at least it'll be more comfortable to be out and about this weekend and really next week. Ted's Trivia, where is Queen Beatrix International Airport located? And of course, you had to think about who's Queen Beatrix, and you probably know this, and you may have met her for all I know.
I have not met her. I don't know, Ted. I'm going to go with Luxembourg, though, D.
She is the former reigning monarch of the Netherlands. She actually abdicated so her daughter could take the throne, and or her son, rather. I believe it was her son now. But she was, during World War II, she's from Netherlands, but Aruba named their airport for her because she was overseeing the changeover for Aruba to become an independent country. And they honored her by naming the airport because she was so good to them. And I will say that she was World War II, she spent it in Canada. I was looking at her history here. That her nickname was Trixie Orange because she's of the House of Orange. It's a royal family. So her name is Beatrix. They call her Trixie Orange. The school kids did in Canada. That nice nickname for the Queen.
Yeah, that is. And Ted, if I had an airport, I would so name it after you.
Really?
I would.
Oh, wow. I
Ted
appreciate
Schmidt
that.
International.
I feel honored. Wow.
Yes. I'll name my driveway after you. That's the only thing I own.
Wow, I'll take it. That's awesome.
Ted Schmidt Speedway. Thank you. The next 2 days will bring some big political events in our nation. When we return, we're going to have a look ahead to tomorrow night's GOP debate in Milwaukee, and then former President Donald Trump's day in court Thursday. We'll be right back.
Join us for Midwest Access, weekdays at 4 p.m. on...
This is a busy week in politics. The Republican candidates are preparing to square off in their first presidential debate tomorrow. The party's frontrunner, former President Trump, actually won't be on the stage in Milwaukee, but he'll still be very much in the spotlight, turning himself in to face his fourth criminal indictment. NBC's Ali Vitali has more on this from Atlanta.
The waiting game's still on here at Fulton County as those 19 defendants have until Friday to turn themselves in. That deadline, of course, set by the district attorney, Fani Willis. We know that the former president and some of those top names on this defendants list, though, have started conversations through their lawyers, setting bail and figuring out what the process of surrender might look like. We've already started to see barricades added outside of the jail ahead of the Thursday deadline that we expect that former President Trump is going to set for himself. He Truth Socialed overnight that he's going to be turning himself in on Thursday. Another one of his co-conspirators, John Eastman, one of the key lawyers involved in the plot to overturn the 2020 election results, turned himself in today. His bail has been set at $100,000. The former president's set at $200,000. And look, behind all of this is the fact that there is the first Republican primary debate set to happen tomorrow night. Trump, of course, won't be there. He's counter-programming that event with an interview of his own, sort of trolling Fox News by going to one of their former top anchors, Tucker Carlson, for a sit-down interview. He pre-taped that. We expect him to be at Bedminster while that debate is going on. And then, of course, the following day, coming to turn himself in here. Back to you.
As anticipation grows for the Republican debate in Milwaukee tomorrow night, we can get a glimpse of what to expect coming off a week of high-profile appearances at the Iowa State Fair. Zach Fuller is going to focus in on this during our online newscast at 1 o'clock and joins us live with more. Hi, Zach.
Hi, Jess. Yeah, we're rounding out our coverage ahead of tomorrow night's debates. Two of the last interviews that joined Governor Kim Reynolds at her Fairside chat were Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy. So those two we will have coming up here live at 1 o'clock on KTTC News. Now, again, as you mentioned, they'll both be on the stage tomorrow in Milwaukee, but wanted to bring you from the Iowa Fairside chats to bring it full circle here ahead of the debate tomorrow. So that's coming up at 1 o'clock again on our Facebook page and our live stream, Jess.
Yeah, the candidates had a lot to say in Iowa, and they're all hoping that they'll be heard in Milwaukee tomorrow night. Thank you so much, Zach. When we return, something rare and absolutely adorable. We'll be right back.
Happy birthday to us.